Welcome to the 45th lesson of SmartKnitter Knit Instructions Level 2. In this lesson, we will demonstrate how to correct Ravel yarn issues. The first example is a panel with a partial knit neckline, knitted using a single feeder. We can see the finishing Ravel yarn section is separated into two. Return to SmartGraph. The problem is caused by incorrect narrowing at the shoulder line. Change the last narrowing symbols as shown. Translate again, and we can see the body yarn feeder knits the neck sections independently and finishes with a single Ravel yarn cast-off section. Let's look at another example, which is a back panel with a neckline knitted using a single feeder. Translate the original file. We can see the finishing Ravel yarn section is separated into two. Return to SmartGraph. This is caused by the marker symbol, pointel, at the neck bottom. With transfers, the system translates the parts separately by default. Copy the neck bottom row to the finishing revolution as shown. Remove the pointel symbol from the original neck bottom. Check the zones on both sides. Translate again. Now the pointel symbol is done after the partial knit neckline, and the Ravel yarn cast-off section is knitted in one go. Let's look at another panel with a fully fashioned collar band in a rib structure. The neckline is knitted with a single feeder. Translate the original file. We can see the finishing Ravel yarn section is separated into two. Return to SmartGraph. The problem is that the feeders cannot be brought back properly. To correct this, duplicate two rows at the ending section. Change the zone color of the newly added rows to the left partial knit zone color. Translate again. Now the plaited feeder set can return to the original position before knitting the ending section with a single feeder. Let's look at panel 4. The neckline is also knitted with a single feeder. Translate the original file. We can see the finishing Ravel yarn section is separated into two. Return to SmartGraph. Select the left partial knit area as shown. Move the area down by one row. Check the neck drop row count. There are 16 rows. Insert 20 rows below the partial knit section as shown. Copy the right partial knit section to the newly added space. Stagger the neckline side, narrowing down by one row after correcting the feeder direction. Fill in the half-gauge knitting stitches to match the Ravel yarn section. Delete the extra rows and extend the stitches to the end of the last row. Change all the zones to Zone 1. Translate again. Now the neckline is knitted correctly. Let's move on to the final example. Translate the original file. We can see the finishing Ravel yarn section is separated into two as well. There is a conflict between the cast-off and the partial knit section, causing incorrect translation of knitting actions in the machine code. We can insert 10 empty rows into the last cast-off section on the left. Moving the cast-off down to separate the partial knit and Ravel yarn sections. Move the Ravel yarn section on the right down as well. Translate again, and we can see the problem is resolved. This marks the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching.